Alright, hello everyone, how are you guys doing? Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Today we're here with another video, and in today's video, this is going to be over a question I've had for quite a while in this game, but I haven't really gotten around to doing it because I never actually had to go on a grind for this Venanatis pet. Now, Venanatis is a thing that I love to kill, and I mostly do it on the side for pets. Most bosses I typically do it for cash as well as on the side. I just want the possibility of getting a pet. So once I got the Venenatis pet, I knew that I wasn't going to do any more Venenatis because it didn't make sense. I figured I'd move on to Callisto. Thing is, I don't like doing Callisto, and now I've finally gotten around to it. So what I'll be doing today is, for those of you that still have the option to kill both or still just really want to kill both of them, is I'll be comparing different ways of going about killing each of them, both with something like Verox and with the ranging alternative. And in addition, I'll be finding what kind of GP per hour you can expect with both of those methods at both of these monsters, and really deciding what is the best boss to kill as far as GP per hour if you're someone going into this that doesn't really care which one you go to. So while this won't be as much of a guide going forward, rather just a comparison, thinking that you understand most of the baseline, I will give you guys kind of an average inventory that I would set up with. Now, these monsters don't have to be safe spotted to kill. Obviously, you can kill them and take damage if you would like as well. However, it is pretty easy to safe spot these, and it saves you a lot of supplies and a lot of stress with killing the monster. And so personally, I do it. If you guys don't feel as if that's right and don't want to do it, feel free, but just know it'll come at a little bit of a greater cost per hour. So as far as inventories go, it doesn't matter which boss you're going to, the inventory is pretty much the same both ways. It just depends whether or not you're ranging or using melee. So before I go into some of the guide type stuff, if you guys already know how to kill these monsters and you already know how to lure them, then you can go ahead and skip ahead to the comparison. The timestamp is here on screen now, but for those of you that don't know what to do and don't know how to lure, here's a little bit of info for you guys. So as far as my inventory goes for range, I bring a couple Cerebrews just to be able to try to help from PKers. Sometimes it really doesn't even matter because there just might be too many, but I do it just to kind of keep myself a little safe. So as far as the inventory goes, it's pretty much your baseline setup for Venanatis. I have a few Cerebrews, few Super Restores, few Prayer Potions, and a few Ranging Potions. You're also going to want to bring an Antidote or something that can deter poison. As far as teleports, you're going to want a Glory no matter where you're going because it'll allow you for a level 30 teleport out. Now, if you have a Seed Pod, you can go ahead and use that. That's also one-click teleport. That's definitely a lot nicer. As far as gear, you guys can see I'm using an Armadillo crossbow. I just bring Black D'hide. You can bring God D'hide if you want a little bit of a prayer bonus, but since it's in the wilderness and sometimes I'm not paying attention as much, I don't typically do it. If you feel safe, however, you can go ahead and do that. You can bring 3 items, and what I'd recommend you to do if you do bring expensive items is turn off your attack options on players so that it's hidden, and that way you can't get skull tricked. If anyone ever tries to tell you to skull, don't do it, and you can come here with 3 items. I personally choose the Anguish, a Buckler, and an Armacebo. You can go with other combinations if you please, depending on your cash stack. As far as melee goes, it is pretty straightforward. You're just going to want to bring a full Verox set. You're going to want to replace all of the inventory I showed you before with ranging, instead with 2 super combats and obviously no bolts. All in all, it's a pretty equal inventory setup, just with a couple things changed. As far as your armor though, there's really not an easy way to bring a spec weapon or anything because you will be risking more pieces of the Verox armor. If you want to do that, feel free, but it isn't something I necessarily would recommend. And for the most part, you're just going to want to fill up your other armor slots with stuff you're willing to be able to lose. So if you don't mind losing Dragon Boots, you can go ahead and bring them, but the extra strength may not be worth it for you. Same thing with something like Pharaoh's Gloves. You can bring Rune instead, but it will just hurt your attack time, obviously, but that's all up to you. So as far as the lure with Venenatis, basically, you're going to want to go ahead and attack it and run up to the north on the Jenga looking block. As you guys can see, just stand on the southern part of the Jenga block and then run to the northwest. You're going to want to run until you kind of see a little rock over here, and then what you're going to want to do is run 2 squares north of that rock. Upon doing that, you guys will see these stones at the last light block on that row. You're going to want to stand there and wait until Venanatis runs up to you. Once he attacks you, and as he's in the motion of blowing whatever attack he is your way, you're going to want to click 2 steps back on the bigger looking rocks. He will then attack you and walk in a couple steps. If he runs away, just run back along this line and try and redo the process. If you run back along the line, you'll actually be able to get him to re-aggro you. If you just wait, he will run all the way back and it'll be kind of annoying. Now once he's moved in, go ahead and click back to where you were previously. He will attack you again, and then what you're going to want to do is run south. So go ahead and run down south to this web. Once you do that, he will fall into the trap and then run west around the web. At this point, I like to stand over here by this other web and just shoot at him. If you're using melee, make sure to stand on the left hand side of him, as if you stand on the right, he will actually attack you. As far as the Callisto lure, this one is pretty easy. Personally, I didn't have any items on me, so I just ran up and let him attack me. You can attack him with range or melee if you want to. Just get in his area and then go ahead and run to the west. Now this is where you're going to want to stay, just a little bit past these trees, and what I do is I typically align myself with this rock pile. Upon aligning myself with this rock pile, I look up at my minimap and wait until I see a second yellow dot. Typically the first one coming is a greater demon, and then you'll see a Callisto. As soon as you see that second yellow dot, go ahead and just dart to the south, and once you start to run down here, just hide behind this second tree stump over here. Upon doing that, he will filter on into this little ring of skeletons, and then you can run back north, and you can either choose to range him from the right hand side, or you can do the extra step for a melee. Now in this clip, I just noticed I have my pet, so I can't do it, so I go ahead and hop worlds. Basically, what you're going to want to do is just follow the route that I do here. Whenever you run to the northwest, he will attack you again, and then what you're going to want to do is run north and then to the northeast, pretty much running north of the rock, but just making a little loop around it. Upon running a little ways north, he will then fall to the north, and he will be stuck behind this rock like so. So let's get more into the informational side of it. As far as the monster info, really, I guess it's kind of nice to know the GP per kill, so you kind of know what you're getting going into this. With Callisto, it's around 100k, a little higher since it has some better overall drops and just some more higher priced ones. Venanatis is at 85k, but that's kind of alright since Venanatis is a little quicker to kill. You guys will see that coming up. Now, as far as the pros and cons, I just kind of scrambled in a few here. Venanatis is really nice because you're at level 30 wilderness, so you can have a quick teleport out if you're someone that's paying attention. However, at the same time, whenever you do get attacked, it's clan. So if you're someone like me that doesn't pay attention as much, you know, I'm there, but I'm looking away, I'm watching TV, I'm doing other stuff. A clan can get on you and you're TB'd and done within a second and a half, and really that is kind of the downside. With Callisto, there's not as many clans, or at least they aren't as quick to form, it feels like, so it's just something you gotta weigh in. You also have an ease of banking. Whenever you get expensive drops, say 100 to 500k plus, I mean anything obviously probably over 150k, you should probably go bank. Obviously that's up to you, but at Venenatis you're at level 30 wilderness, so you can just teleport away. If you're at Callisto, you got a kind of a decent ways to run, so it's a little bit more annoying. As far as Callisto, there is one downside. Whenever you use melee, it is a little hard to lure it, I found. Just trying to get down the lure is a little bit difficult. Venanatis I found really easy to be able to get into and just to understand how it works. So if you're a new person coming into this and want to use melee, Venanatis may be better for you just to be able to learn initially. Along with that though, I think Callisto in general is just a little less populated since it's so far up north, and it's just, you know, there's a lot of stuff going around there that you can actually get away, and it's a lot harder, I think, to get away from people at Venanatis once they get on you because you're probably TB'd and dead than it is Callisto, where sometimes you can run off through the woods. Now we'll just go into the breakdowns as far as each of these bosses go, Venanatis and Callisto, and I'll be doing them separately, obviously. As far as the amount of time it takes to lure, I kind of just tested this once, and that is what it is each individual time. Obviously, if you mess up, it'll be a little lower for you, but once you get used to it, it should be pretty consistent. So 33-second lure is what I was finding with Callisto. It is faster than Venanatis, and then on average, you have like 15 seconds of kill and banking time. I just averaged that in, so as far as kills per hour, you guys kind of had a better idea. Overall, the kills per hour that I was able to get to Callisto, it went down with the SIBO, which makes sense because Venanatis' defense to range is a lot lower than Callisto's is, and thus that makes it so ranging isn't as good as Callisto as it would be at something like Venanatis, and you guys will see that here in a second. But the kills per hour were 13.5 with the bow and 15.2 with the Verox armor, so obviously here Verox armor beats it out entirely. Cost per hour with these two things does not actually change that much. It's about 3k per hour. The amount of money you lose in bolts kind of almost equates to the amount of money that you're going to lose in super combats and armor decreasing, so really it all almost evens out. In total, the average difference per hour would be 167k to go ahead and use Verox, so it just makes sense to do. Now there is one thing here that I can't really account for, but I do in a sense. So I'm comparing the SIBO to the Verox, assuming that you are 95 of both stat, that you're using the prayers for both stat, and I mean kind of flicking, obviously you don't want to just sit there with it on. If you don't want to flick, that's perfectly fine, you'll just get less kills per hour. But the one way I can kind of equate this to you guys is pretty much it's only going to be worth it from a GP standpoint to be able to use range if you're 13 levels higher than your attack or strength. So what this means is in theory, if your range is 94 and your melee stats are 80, in this instance it makes sense to go ahead and use range because it is so much higher. However, you do have to have it 13 to 14 levels higher, and if that isn't the case, then it's always just going to be better to go ahead and use Verox. And onto the Venanatis breakdown. So this is a little bit longer of a lure time at 55 seconds. Venanatis in general just has less stuff around it, so it's a lot harder to maneuver, and you have to go pretty far for any of the lures. So 55 seconds in total, plus 15 seconds a kill in banking time again. In total allows us for the Armacebo to come in at 17.1 kills per hour, while Verox is at 15.2 again. So here there is a 1.9 kill difference, and so it is going to be worth it for pretty much most people to go ahead and use the Armacebo, and I'll talk about that here in a second. As far as the cost per hour, it does go down a little bit here with range because you're running so much while you're luring. You're just shooting less arrows per hour than you are at Callisto. And so as far as the total difference per hour comes out to be, it's around 175k that it would just be worth it for you to go ahead and use an Armacebo because you'll be making more per hour. So in most cases, it would be worth it for you to go ahead and just use an Armacebo since you'll be making close to 175k more per hour. Now, a rule here that I would say is that you pretty much need to have combat levels that are 12 levels higher than your range levels to be able to justify using Verox here. Now, if you want to go ahead and use it because you enjoy it or you just find it less stressful, feel free. All of this is just general ideas. I mean, you don't have to follow any of this necessarily. I'm just telling you what is best for your specific build. All in all, if you're wondering what is going to be the best route for you to go ahead and just make money, if you really don't care whether or not you kill Venenatis or Callisto, I can tell you there's really not that much of a difference, so it really doesn't matter. It's pretty much up to you. As far as the GP per hour, if you actually want to get technical with it, with Callisto, you average around 1.72 mil per hour, while with Venanatis, it's around 1.36. So in total, it's a 60k difference per hour. So pretty much it's up to you. I mean, 60k an hour obviously is probably worth it at Callisto, but keep in mind that some of my statistics, while I do get average kill logs from a mass log and then kind of price adjust it, you know, some of these things could just be, you know, 5k off one way or another, which could mean that this is pretty much a wash. Overall, I'd say if you're going to side with one, Callisto's probably better with melee. However, if you want to use range, you can go ahead and use Venanatis, and ultimately it just comes down with whatever style you want to go about it. So that is it. That is all of the info I have for you guys here today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and if you guys did, make sure to leave a like. Also, if there's anything you guys want me to go ahead and compare in the future, stuff like this I always love doing, so whether or not it's bossing, skilling, money making, let me know down below in the comments. And if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe to the channel. But with that said, hopefully you guys have a wonderful day, and peace.